I still remember the day my family crushed my dreams, or at least they thought they did. It was at my high school graduation party, a modest celebration in our cramped apartment's living room. I had just announced my plans to start my own tech company instead of accepting the safe accounting job my uncle had arranged at his firm. A tech company? My Uncle Stephen's laughter cut through the room like a knife. Mia, you can barely keep your phone working. Don't embarrass yourself. My name is Mia Chen, and that moment marked the beginning of my family's campaign to save me from myself, as they called it. Looking back now as I sit in my corner office on the 50th floor of our corporate headquarters, I almost want to thank them. Their doubt became my greatest motivation. That graduation party set the tone for the next 5 years. Every family gathering became an opportunity to remind me of my supposed foolishness. Every success by my cousins was highlighted while my small victories were dismissed or mocked. Did you hear about Daniel's promotion? My aunt would announce proudly at Sunday dinners. Junior partner at only 28. Meanwhile, Mia's still playing with her little computer projects in her garage. What they called playing with computers was actually me teaching myself coding, developing my first apps, and laying the groundwork for what would become Nova Technologies. But they never bothered to ask about the details. They were too busy celebrating my cousin Lisa's engagement to a banker, or my cousin Andrew's new luxury car. When are you going to grow up and get a real job? My mother would ask, her voice heavy with disappointment. Look at your cousins, they're building careers, starting families. What do you have to show for yourself? What I had to show was a growing understanding of artificial intelligence and machine learning, countless nights spent studying market trends, and a vision that kept me going despite their constant criticism. But they weren't interested in any of that. The breaking point came at my younger sister Amy's wedding. I had just secured my first major investor, a milestone that had me walking on air. During the reception, I made the mistake of mentioning it to my Uncle Stephen. An investor? He snorted into his champagne. Who would be stupid enough to waste money on your little fantasy? How much? A few $1,000s. Actually, I said quietly, they invested $2 million. The silence that followed was deafening. Then came the accusations. You must have tricked them, my Aunt Margaret declared. No one in their right mind would give you that kind of money. I knew it, my cousin Daniel chimed in. She's running some kind of scam. Better be careful, Uncle Stephen, or she'll try to con you next. My mother grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in painfully. What have you done? If you get arrested, don't expect us to bail you out. I looked around the table at their faces, suspicious, accusatory, contemptuous. These people who were supposed to be my support system, my family, couldn't even conceive of the possibility that I might actually be succeeding. The investment is real, I said, keeping my voice steady. Nova Technologies is developing an AI-driven platform that could revolutionize Dash. Nova Technologies? My uncle's mocking laugh cut me off. You named your little scam after a star? How appropriate, something that looks bright from far away but is actually dead. That's when my sister Amy, the bride herself, delivered the final blow. Oh Mia, this is so embarrassing. Can't you just be normal for one day? This is my wedding, not another opportunity for you to pretend you're some kind of tech genius. I stood up slowly, my champagne glass still full. Congratulations on your wedding, Amy. I hope your marriage brings you all the success you think I'll never achieve. As I walked out of the reception hall, I heard my mother calling after me. See? Always so dramatic. She'll never amount to anything if she keeps this attitude. That night, in my small apartment that doubled as Nova's first office, I made a decision. I opened my laptop and began typing an email to my lead investor. Mr. Harrison, I've been considering your suggestion about accelerating our timeline. If the offer still stands, I'd like to discuss moving forward with the expansion plans. Jack Harrison had been pushing me to think bigger, to move faster. I'd been hesitant, wanting to grow the company organically. But that night something shifted inside me. If my family wanted to see me as nothing, I would become something so big they couldn't ignore me. The next 3 years were a blur of endless work days, sleepless nights, and relentless determination. I stopped attending family functions, stopped trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I was a failure. Instead, I poured everything into Nova Technologies. Our AI platform evolved beyond my initial vision, expanding into areas I hadn't even dreamed of. We developed algorithms that could predict market trends with unprecedented accuracy, automation systems that could transform entire industries, and data analysis tools that major corporations couldn't afford to ignore. The first billion-dollar contract came 2 years in, a deal with one of the largest financial institutions in Asia. I celebrated alone in my office, remembering my uncle's words about my little scam. The second and third contracts followed quickly, and suddenly Nova Technologies wasn't just a successful startup, it was becoming a major player in the tech industry. I kept my name out of the press, using my initials MC in all official documents. As far as the business world was concerned, the CEO of Nova Technologies was a mysterious figure who never gave interviews or appeared in photos. Let them speculate, I had learned the value of being underestimated. The company grew exponentially. We moved from my apartment to a small office, then to a larger one, and finally to our own building, a gleaming tower of glass and steel in the heart of the financial district. I hired the best talent I could find, people who shared my vision and weren't afraid to think big. Then came the day that changed everything. I was reviewing acquisition proposals. Nova had grown so large we were now buying smaller companies almost monthly, when my assistant Sarah knocked on my door. "Ms. Chen, you need to see this." She handed me a tablet open to a news article. The headline made my blood run cold. Davidson and Associates filing for bankruptcy, thousands of jobs at risk. Davidson and Associates, my Uncle Stephen's firm. The same firm that had offered me that safe accounting job 5 years ago. The same firm where my cousins Daniel and Lisa worked. The same firm that my family had held up as an example of real success. "Their stock is in free fall," Sarah reported. "The market's saying they're too outdated, haven't kept up with technological changes. Without a major modernization effort and significant capital injection, they'll be defunct within months." I leaned back in my chair staring at the article. 5 years ago they had laughed at my ideas about technology and innovation. Now their failure to embrace those same ideas was destroying them. "There's something else," Sarah added, looking slightly uncomfortable. "We've received job applications. From your family members. They don't know it's your company, of course. But Daniel, Lisa, and even your Uncle Stephen have all applied for positions." I picked up the stack of applications Sarah had placed on my desk. On top was my Uncle Stephen's resume, his impressive-looking credentials now worth less than the paper they were printed on. "Karma," Sarah said with a small smile, "really does have perfect timing." I opened the first application and began to read, a plan already forming in my mind. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about making them come to you for salvation, not knowing that the person they once mocked now holds their fate in her hands. "Schedule interviews for all of them," I told Sarah. "But don't tell them who they're meeting with. I think it's time for a family reunion." The morning of the interviews I stood in my private bathroom, carefully applying my makeup. The woman in the mirror barely resembled the girl they had mocked at family gatherings. Gone were the casual clothes and nervous demeanor. In their place stood the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, dressed in a tailored Armani suit that cost more than my uncle's monthly salary. "They're here," Sarah announced through the intercom. "All of them. Your Uncle Stephen looks like he hasn't slept in days." I smiled, adjusting my blazer. "How's Daniel handling the waiting room?" "Trying to charm the receptionist with stories about his former executive position. She's not impressed." "And Lisa?" "Checking her makeup every 2 minutes. She almost started crying when she saw our lobby. Apparently, Davidson and Associates' entire office could fit in it." I took one final look in the mirror. Let's not keep them waiting. Start with Uncle Stephen. I settled behind my desk, its polished surface reflecting the morning sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The view of the city skyline behind me created exactly the impression I wanted: success, power, untouchability. "Mr. Davidson?" Sarah's voice came through the intercom. "The CEO will see you now." The door opened and my Uncle Stephen walked in. He looked older than I remembered, his once immaculate suit slightly wrinkled, his confident stride replaced by an anxious shuffle. He stopped short when he saw me, his face going through a remarkable series of expressions: confusion, shock, disbelief, and finally horror. "Hello, Uncle Stephen," I said calmly. "Please have a seat." "Mia." His voice cracked. You're..." The CEO of Nova Technologies? The mysterious MC everyone's been speculating about? The owner of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the world? I smiled. Yes to all of the above. He sank into the chair across from me, his hands trembling slightly. This is impossible. You were just playing with computers in your garage. Funny how playing with computers turned into a multi-billion-dollar company, isn't it? I opened his application on my tablet. Now let's discuss your application for, a junior analyst position? Quite a step down from managing partner. Mia, He swallowed hard. I can explain about all those things, I said. I held up a hand. Save it. This is a job interview, not a family reunion. Tell me, what makes you think you're qualified to work at Nova Technologies? For the next 20 minutes, I watched my once mighty uncle stammer through explanations of his experience, his skills, his potential value to the company. The same man who had dismissed my dreams now sat before me, practically begging for a chance. Thank you for your time, I said finally. We'll be in touch. Please send in Daniel next. My cousin Daniel walked in with the same cocky swagger I remembered, but it faltered when he saw me. What the? Mia? That's Miss Chen in this office, I corrected him. I believe you're applying for our business development position? This is a joke, right? He laughed nervously. You can't really be. I pressed a button on my desk and the wall screen lit up with Nova's latest market valuations, stock prices and global reach statistics. Does this look like a joke to you, cousin? His face paled as he took in the numbers. Listen, Mia, Miss Chen, about all those things at family gatherings. You mean like calling my company a scam? Suggesting I was conning investors. I scrolled through his application. Interesting how quickly opinions change when the tables turn. Lisa's interview was perhaps the most satisfying. My perfectly polished cousin, who had never missed an opportunity to compare her real career to my little hobby, burst into tears within 5 minutes. Please, she sobbed, I have a mortgage, car payments. I need this job. I handed her a tissue. Like I needed family support when I was starting out. How did you phrase it at Amy's wedding? Stop embarrassing yourself trying to play businesswoman? After the interviews, I sat in my office as the sun set over the city, 3 applications spread across my desk. Sarah brought in a bottle of champagne. Well, she asked. What's the verdict? I picked up my uncle's application. You know what the most ironic part is? None of them are actually qualified for the positions they applied for. They don't understand modern technology, can't adapt to changing markets, and have no vision for the future. Everything they mocked me for understanding, they failed to learn themselves. So that's a no? I smiled, pressing the intercom. Send them back in. All of them. They filed in like chastened schoolchildren, standing awkwardly before my desk. The power dynamics had shifted so dramatically it was almost comical. After reviewing your applications, I began, I've come to a decision. Uncle Stephen stepped forward. Mia, before you say anything, we were wrong. We were all so wrong about you. This isn't about right or wrong, I cut him off. This is about business. And the fact is, none of you are qualified for the positions you applied for. Lisa started crying again. Daniel's face turned red with anger. However, I continued, Nova Technologies is launching a new training program. Entry-level positions starting at the very bottom. Basic salary, no privileges, no shortcuts. You'll need to earn every promotion, prove every skill, and most importantly, I smiled, learn to respect innovation and vision no matter where it comes from. You're offering us jobs? Uncle Stephen asked incredulously. I'm offering you a chance, I corrected him. The same chance I had to build something from nothing. The difference is you'll have a steady paycheck and benefits. More than you gave me. Why? Daniel demanded. Why not just reject us? I stood up, walking to the window. Because success isn't about revenge. It's about proving that merit, innovation, and determination matter more than family connections or outdated thinking. You'll start next Monday if you accept. Under you. Lisa whispered. As our boss. Under my company, I said. Where your last name won't matter, only your work ethic and ability to adapt. Take it or leave it. They accepted, of course. They had no choice. Their reputations were in tatters, their savings depleted, their pride in shambles. The next Monday was interesting. I watched through my office windows as my uncle, once the mighty patriarch of Davidson and Associates, sat through basic computer training with fresh college graduates. Daniel, who used to brag about his corner office, was assigned a cubicle in the open floor plan. Lisa had to learn to make her own coffee instead of ordering assistants around. That evening, as I prepared to leave the office, Sarah handed me a note. "Your mother called. She wants to have dinner." I could imagine the conversation, how proud she suddenly was, how she had always believed in me, how the family should stick together in times of success. "Tell her my schedule is full," I replied. "I'm too busy running my little computer project to attend family dinners." As I rode the elevator down to my waiting car, I thought about that graduation party 5 years ago. About all the doubts, the mockery, the dismissal of my dreams. Now the same people who had laughed at me depended on my company for their livelihood. But the sweetest victory wasn't in their humiliation or their dependency. It was in proving that success doesn't come from family connections or following the safe path. It comes from vision, determination, and the courage to pursue your dreams even when everyone tells you they're impossible. The next morning, I called a company-wide meeting. Standing on the stage of our auditorium, looking out at hundreds of employees, including my humbled family members scattered throughout the crowd, I felt a sense of completion. "Welcome to Nova Technologies," I began, "where innovation is our foundation, and the future belongs to those brave enough to imagine it." My uncle and cousins sat in the back row, their expressions a mixture of awe and regret. They were finally learning what I had known all along. That sometimes the person they mock becomes the person they answer to, and that karma does indeed have perfect timing. As I outlined our company's vision for the future, I couldn't help but smile. Success truly is the best revenge, but not because it hurts those who doubted you. It's the best revenge because it proves that their doubts never defined you, only your determination did. And in the end, that's worth more than any family fortune or inherited position. It's the difference between being given something and earning it. Between accepting limitations and breaking through them. Between being a nobody and becoming somebody they never imagined you could be. My assistant caught my eye from the side of the stage, holding up my schedule for the next meeting, a potential acquisition that would make Nova Technologies the largest tech company in our sector. I wrapped up my speech and walked off stage, leaving my family members to contemplate their new positions at the bottom of the corporate ladder. They would either learn and grow or they would fail. But this time it would be entirely based on their own merit, not their last name. Sometimes the best revenge isn't making others small, it's growing so big that they can't help but live in your shadow. And my shadow? It was just beginning to spread.